leaving the next administration with the world war, with the nuclear conflict, by allowing Ukraine, a proxy state of the United States, to strike within Russia. And I'll just have one editorial comment, and then I'm going to let you go. But I think that people in Washington misunderstand Vladimir Putin, and they think he's a monarch with absolute power, which is not true. And Russian politics is complex and it's lively, and Putin is very concerned with his approval rating within Russia. He cannot appear weak. That's a huge threat to him. He feels that. I can confirm. And
he could confirm.
If he can't hide attacks on him by the United States through Ukraine, either on Moscow or big civilian casualties, I think...
I want to say something. He could confirm. He acts like he knows him, right? Look at how Putin walks. Look at how he is. I know who he walks like. There's only one other dictator in history that's on film walking like that, and it's Stalin. But he has the ideas of Lenin. In those 4 hours of tapes, he says Gorbachev had the right idea, but the wrong strategy. So, like China, I'm assuming, but what the fuck do I know? I'm not in Putin's head, but he didn't want communism to fall. He just said it had to be adapted, pretty much. And he was right. I personally think, and I'm an American, my grandfather, 88th Battalion, single battalion. Communism is beautiful on paper. When the Navy did that over there the first time, the Russian Navy, the people would come to the square and tell the people, the ones who controlled the community, the problems. After that happened, those leaders would go out about solving those problems. And then Stalin and Lenin came in and put all this crazy shit in with that Marxist take everything that everybody owns because we don't have it shit. But when Putin got elected, he said he had to hide his family because he didn't know if he was going to win. So I just want to know how much this guy really knows him, because he's got a lot to say, it seems like.
You will have no choice, in his view, but to launch like a serious response against Ukraine or NATO countries or possibly the United States. So this seems like the most reckless thing that's ever happened in my life.
Oh, poor baby.
I hardly have words for it.
The reckless thing that happened in his fucking life.
No, not even remotely.
You don't need to hear this thing. This is some fucking country shit. The worst thing that ever happened in his lifetime is when we let the bankers control our economy because they're greedy and they can't be controlled. You put them on regular banks, and they become shadow banks. I mean, it doesn't matter. They control everything, and they always will, because they won't regulate them, or they refuse to get regulated.
Say specifically what has been authorized.
Yes.
This is something that some NATO countries, including the United Kingdom, have been pressuring the Biden administration to do for quite a long time, for at least a year. But going all the way back to the beginning of 2022, this was an option that they had, which was we have these guided missiles called ATACMS, which are very powerful for attacking inside Russia. You can guide them specifically and very precisely to where you want them to go. Obviously, you have to get intelligence about where you want to strike. And the reason we never permitted the Ukrainians to use them is because the Ukrainians can't use those missiles on their own. In other words, if they want to launch these missiles, it's not just the U.S. giving them the missiles and then telling them, no problem, go and use them. It requires the direct involvement of the United States and or a major NATO country like France or the UK or Germany, because the Ukrainians don't have the guiding capability in order to know how to launch these missiles.
Right.
So this is not just us giving them missiles and saying, go attack deep inside Russia. Imagine if some major country, China, Iran, Russia, whoever, gave missiles to Canada if we were at war with them, or Mexico or Cuba, and said, we're giving you these specifically for you to use them inside the United States. We would consider that a grievous act of war.
Yeah, if we invaded one of those countries, though, what would happen then? That we didn't run in. I mean, we did a long time ago to Mexico. That's not the point. My family's Mexican, from Corpus. Hallelujah, if anybody ever sees it, from Corpus. They've been in America since it was Mexico. Texas was Mexico, and my family was there. So he's right about that part. Well, I don't know about that, but, I mean, we didn't invade nobody, though.
Not just on the part of the country shooting them, but on the part of the country giving them. What Biden did here is so much worse. He didn't just give Ukrainians missiles and say, feel free to use them inside Russia. We are going to participate in the bombing of Russia, NATO and or the United States, because there's no way the Ukrainians can launch these missiles on their own, which means we are now, our military, our intelligence community,
Now that's different. I ain't gonna lie, as much as I am for Ukraine defending themselves, I volunteer almost every day to go over there and fight. So fuck you if you think I'm weak. Have you? That's something different. Us participating in the war is different than munitions and all that, and actually guiding something to that is different. It is. I don't give a fuck. Biden should give permission for that shit. This is the problem, man. See, that's why Trump shouldn't have sycophants around him. He does, and I'm not saying they are, because they're fucking, the ones I see so far are beautiful engineers and just like-minded people. And I don't mean like-minded like me, I mean like-minded like most people that live here for a change. But he had a Dove Hawk situation last time, which he people could talk how he wanted to, but that was diplomatic beauty. Drone shot down, almost intimate war. Everybody's lashing up their boots to go fight Iran because they didn't shot down one of our drones, and nothing. Because he had that balance. And he can't have all yes men. Who's going to say no? The Jewish people, I don't care, I'm not getting into the religion, whatever, politics. They have, whether it's true, I saw it on that World War Z, but it's a good fucking idea. If everybody agrees, somebody has to disagree just to make sure they're not wrong. I just don't understand what's wrong with that. If we're going to go to war, I'm going to be in history saying, just if you look at my timeline, anybody fucking cares? I said, well, it wouldn't work with Putin. He's been collecting gold. I said it years ago. But who am I? I'm just one of you. Nobody gives a fuck about us. We don't have these things that make people want to look at us at TV and all these little fancy shit. I got a TV and a fucking iPad I'm recording this with. But if we're going to war, I want it to be known that how it's all going down is stupid as fuck. We should have gave them the full capabilities of anything that didn't require us right away, without hesitation. The tanks, the whatever they needed. They had it. And we trickled it in. I mean, Christ, they got to Kiev. Not since the World War II has tanks rolled into Kiev like that. I mean, come on. I know most of you probably disengaged already. I just think that if we're going to war, most of you are like me. You just sit in your basement or wherever the fuck, when you get home in your bedroom, whatever. I got a man cave. And you do your thing. But now, that thing might be seriously interrupted.
Participating in...
And this guy's got a lot to say. Him, see that? Right there? You see this guy? Oh, you see? I smoke a lot of weed. He's got a lot to say right now. And even though I like a lot of his views, I don't like all of it. But that's America.
Missile attacks inside the country of Russia. This is something that even the Biden administration, for all their hawkishness on Russia and Ukraine, feeding that war, fueling it, preventing diplomatic resolutions because they wanted this war, even they were unwilling to do it because they understood the dangers of the escalatory risks. For Joe Biden, or whoever's acting in his name, to do this just 2 weeks after the country resoundingly rejected governance by the Democratic Party in the administration, and on his way out as an 81-year-old man, knowing that he has about 6 weeks left in office, to just say, I know that these are massive risks, but I'm willing to take them. I'm 81. I don't really care. And then to make it so much more difficult for the following administration to do what they promised to do during the campaign, which...
To be fair, Bush did the same thing when he agreed to the bailout of those bankers that stole everybody's money with bullshit derivatives in 08. Obama came in and made it sweet. I don't mean good sweet. That bitter ass sweet.
The American people voted for and wanted, which is to resolve this war. Instead, we're risking escalation with the world's largest superpower, nuclear power. Over what? Over what?
If placed in context, too, this is without precedent. And I think it's Blinken. I want to ask about that in a second. But so 1956, Soviets invade Hungary and murder a ton of people. 61, they put nuclear weapons in Cuba. 68, they invade Czechoslovakia, murder a bunch of people once again. These are all, incredible.
What he doesn't say is when Ukraine gave up their absolute power to protect their sovereignty, their nuclear weapons, they did so with the understanding that if one country or the other were to invade, we'd come help. There wasn't supposed to be no buts in there. But if this person leads or if that person leads, and none of that shit. Nope, we're watching this live.
Incredibly provocative acts, far more provocative than invading eastern Ukraine. And this was in the middle of the Cold War, and no American presidents, Democrats and Republicans in charge during those periods, they didn't respond by attacking Russia.
That's puffery. If he's got say-so, don't get me wrong, they didn't do that. But we didn't have a treaty, ironclad United Nations worldwide pact. I ain't gonna talk about all the ways we violated it first. We treated Putin like shit. Well, we should have been treating him like a partner, ready to change the world. Just because the CIA didn't have a job to do, you gave the KGB something to do just like you wanted. You sick fucks. CIA, I gotta admit, no matter what you say, they're the real president. This is just a figurehead, whoever we get. And if you don't believe that, then check the history, yo. That's all you gotta do.
I mean, there's nothing like this has ever happened. No one's ever been this crazy.
Well, this is, my big breach with the left, my big permanent split with whatever they thought I was in terms of
Boy, is it
association with them.
permanent too? They hate you.
Oh, yeah, I know. And that all happened in 2016 when out of nowhere Russiagate appeared. And I remember, like it was yesterday, the very first ad from Hillary Clinton's campaign with this like menacing baritone voice. What does Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump have in common? What does Russia have on Donald Trump? And journalistically, I just couldn't believe it because it was so redolent of McCarthyism, which is a civil libertarianism.
Yep.
I was taught was like one of the worst civil liberties of the 20th century.
That's right. I agree.
Yeah, I mean,
That's what finally ended journalism. What they're talking about right there, all loud and shit. I'll end this because anybody who's still listening probably not interested in me hearing chewing chips. But this guy's got a lot to say. More than he should probably, but I mean, it's like that now, right? All journalists lost their integrity or whatever when they hated Donald Trump so much. They started printing their opinion instead of what they could verify. They just went off with it because they hated him so much. The establishment was so screwed that he was going to come in and he was an outsider, and he's not the blue blood, so he's going to know all the dirty little secrets. He's president. And I guarantee the CIA actively hid it. And they're the ones who are trying to kill him. And you can think not, but then you're foolish. You don't know the CIA. Look up the history of them. They planned on killing Americans already to invade Cuba. Obama released it. So those Democrats that love him so much. I like his energy policies. That's it. The CIA in the 50s or 60s wanted to bomb some buildings in America and blame it on Cuban nationalists. They didn't do it. Didn't need to. Kennedy came in, shut it down. What happened to him? Huh? Oh, thought so.